Sometimes, instead of conveying our meaning, they can suggest other meanings.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are the children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
The significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Kamala Harris is worse at it. She actually is worse at it, and she's the real one. That's amazing.
I was trying to find something with a squad member or Feinstein or one of the old ones, like being crazy, but I guess I haven't made any clips with any of the squad yet, so I probably need to work on that. But Kamala Harris is always a suitable
classic.
Yeah.
Feinstein was the shoulder thing that goes up lady, right? She was trying to describe like an AR stock or something,
like
right? She's
brace,
like like an assault weapon. She's like, the shoulder thing that goes up. That was like what she wanted to ban or something. How she described it. What the fuck is that? Oh, good old days.
I do have a clip of her, basically just like telling off a bunch of school kids, telling them because they're getting on her case about not voting for a green energy bill or something like basically they're saying she's not paying enough attention to climate change, and she's like, I just won a huge re-election, like we'll deal with that stuff later. And they're like,
they're trying to push like we have to do it now.
They're trying to push it on her, and she's like, yeah, we'll deal with that later. We're not doing that today. And she was like, we're not going to talk about this. And she's like, or one of the students is like, you have an obligation to listen to the concerns of your voters. And Feinstein just straight up goes, how old are you? And the girl goes, 16. She said, so you didn't vote for me, so I'm not worried about it. It's like, holy shit, that's so perfect. So,
here it is.
Like none of you voted, so
yeah, like how are y'all voting age? Like, yeah, I think she said something like that. Let's watch the clip for
yes on the Green New Deal.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We have our own Green New Deal.
Some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around.
Well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years. What we can do,
Senator, if this doesn't get turned around in 10 years, you're looking at the faces of the people who are going to be living with these consequences.
The government is supposed to be for the people and by the people, and all
you know
for the
what's
people.
interesting about this group is I've been doing this for 30 years. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that. I've gotten elected. I just ran. I was elected by almost 1 million vote plurality. And I know what I'm doing. So, maybe people should listen a little bit.
I hear what you're saying, but we're the people who voted you. You're supposed to listen to us. That's your job. I'm 16. I can't vote.
You didn't vote for me.
Well, I'm 24.
It doesn't matter. We're the ones getting impacted.
Something.
It doesn't matter. We'll get
Well, that's the funniest bit is like these adults got these kids in there and told them like it doesn't matter like if you can't vote, like you're the ones that are going to be impacted.
Ones are impacted.
I understand that. I have 7 grandchildren. I understand it.
The cost of this action is far higher than the cost of what the Green New Deal will be. And there is enormous popularity for this bill around the whole country. And we're asking you to be brave and do this for us and for your grandchildren.
I'm trying to do the best I can. Which
was play the one video where I'm actually on her side in the debate.
Well, see, that's the funny thing about Feinstein is she would go for like everything else except for the like AOC crazy stuff. Like that was the funny part about Feinstein is every other Democrat
good
thing.
For business.
Yeah,
she's she's the down the middle. She's a politician. Like she's like, no.
She was left.
We're making money here, dude.
Insanely corrupt, but
that's the goal. Keep that going. Yeah, don't upset the apple cart.
She was at least fiscally responsible enough to understand and acknowledge that there were certain progressive agenda items that would not benefit her bottom line, and she was not going to get behind. Like, as long as it was going to result in her being filthy rich, she was all for it, and she would vote for it regardless of which side it came from. Like, that's crazy. Did you see the thing that speaking of her 7 grandchildren, her children and grandchildren are now having to figure out how they're going to divide up the $170 million estate that she has and the $62 million, or no, I think it was more than that.
Wasn't it like $162 million?
It was multiple estates that she has that are valued at like $170 million, and the private jet that's valued at like $65 million that she used to travel back and forth to all of these estates and to Washington.
But not to any Green New Deal meetings, obviously.
Right.
Did she go to like the G7 and all that kind of stuff? I don't know.
I highly doubt that she got invited to a lot of that stuff because she's a little too speak your mindy for that sort of.
No.
I want to add a correction. It wasn't her. It was the shoulder thing that goes up. That was Carolyn McCarthy. Yeah, it's a clip on Carlson. I put it in the Twitter chat. It's like right at the end of it. But he's like, "Oh, here's the thing. It's like a bill she sponsored or something." And he's just like asking her questions about like the gun parts, and she doesn't know what any of them are that she like signed the bill to regulate.
Hang on, I got it.
I mean, Feinstein probably didn't either.
Yeah.
You introduced the Assault Weapons Ban and Law Enforcement Protection Act of 2007. It would regulate semi-automatic assault weapons, including weapons.
Oh man, look how young he looks.
Forward grip and something called a barrel shroud. Weapons with a barrel shroud would be regulated. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate it?
I think the more important thing is that it also would have had banned the large capacity clips that Colin Ferguson had used, and also the killer.
Okay. But I read the legislation. I'm sorry, I read the legislation that
not a clip.
Regulate barrel shrouds. What's a barrel shroud, and why should we regulate that?
The guns that were chosen back in those days were basically the guns that most gangs and criminals were using to kill our police officers. I'm not saying it was the best bill, but that was the best bill they could get out at that particular time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is. I believe it's a shoulder thing that goes up.
Man, I forget.
The wrong end of the gun, by the way.
If I see those young clips of Tucker, I forget that he was on LSD. For all.
Oh shit! That he was on what? What was that on? That wasn't Fox. Oh shit! I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he was MSNBC before he became Fox.
Back when they actually did something that resembled reporting of some nature, like. Golly, how old was that clip?
16 years ago.
It's like,
it says this was posted.
He said a bill of 07, so I mean.
Yeah.
It was either
Virginia Tech shooting.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, boy, the years fly by, huh? Holy shit.
All right, so I know we've probably discussed this before. When did mainstream media become what it is today? Like, because I can remember a time when there was at least some semblance of what seemed like reporting. And maybe I was just young and stupid and didn't know any better. But
I feel like there's two answers to this. Honestly, like I mean, not two different. Like I feel like there's two kind of times where it got really bad. I mean, obviously 01.
Yeah.
And then after 01, they kind of showed a lot of their hand on that kind of stuff. We need to go to find the WMDs, and then come to find out that there weren't any. If anybody had done decent reporting, they would have known that. But There was also like I think it really ramped up when the pinnacle of like this shift had happened was probably during the Obama years.
I was going to say the housing crisis of 2008, like because of the very direct and blatant government involvement in that whole thing and how government policy really drove everything about the housing bubble just blowing up in their faces, and then the recession that followed, and then Obama came into the presidency immediately thereafter. It felt like from then forward, the press stopped covering stuff and started running cover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they didn't the media pin all of that on? They didn't pin it on central banking or anything. They pinned it all on like banking regulations, right? Like they said we need. That's why they added more regulations to banks.
Glass-Steagall, dog.
Yeah, that's why you had the Frank. That's why you ended up with the Frank Dodd Act or whatever. Yeah, they blamed it all on the banking industry and on the banking regulations or lack thereof, instead of the fact that it was the Fed that was and the central banking that was actually pushing that whole thing. Yeah, and also they used the too big to fail bailouts, which were fucking stupid, but they used those to spin it all back on capitalism is bad too. So that was, yeah, I feel like that was when it, like, you got the cover that was being run immediately following 9/11, and then, you know, kind of justifying the war and everything for a few years. And then once public sentiment started to sour on the war in Iraq, then they started going back to some semblance of legitimate reporting, at least in very, very broadly speaking. And then, but then, yeah, once the housing bubble popped, all of that went out the window, and now it's like this is now state propaganda media. It's no longer news media.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with this question too, because like I definitely feel like it's pretty much always been like crooked to some extent, right? I mean, there's literally like a dozen very blatant examples throughout history of like the New York Times, you know, going back like since its start, of lying, you know, or covering for something. I definitely think it's gotten worse though, but it also seems like, and if you look at the timelines you guys laid out, let's say 2001 and beyond, right? It's almost like the more that the internet exists, either A, the worse that the corporate press gets, which you could argue is understandable, right? Just because it has to get, you know, worse. It has to try to tighten up gatekeeping. You know, it really has to lay it on thicker. Or you could also look at it as like, because the internet exists, now there's more independent media. We can fact check them a lot more. How could you fact check the news before? It's like, all right, honey, well, I'm going to get in the car and go down to the library and look up in the encyclopedia or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you really didn't have a way to, and now it's like, oh, we can like, just see videos on like fucking TikTok from that part of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about the videos.
You know, now we have that ability.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, is like now with the internet and with technology the way it is, like you can literally watch the video of what happened instead of having to rely on the news to show you a video of what happened. Like
after they've doctored it.
Yeah, after they've doctored it.
Like the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, you know, and everything. Like, you know, oh, he just opened fire, and then, you know, you see all these videos, and you basically you get 100 different angles of this, this one event.
All the massive explosions and gunfire in Afghanistan after whenever we were trying to pull out, that actually turned out to just be a gun range in Kentucky.
Yes, like they could have been doing it forever, you know, lying like that. And I mean, so in likelihood they were in some instances, but yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, and then like especially like Civil War and shit. I mean, there was huge media censorship and stuff, you know, by the government or otherwise. Even in quote unquote free states up north, like you couldn't print abolitionist material. Like people got murdered for doing that. You know, like it's
yeah. Lincoln.
There's always been some extent, but how do you know? It's unanswerable. You know, history is written by the winners. Da da da. All right, like history is written by the fucking media who was lying the whole time. So who fucking knows?
The winning
man? You know,
media.
it's really tough to say. Yeah,
I mean, I guess the losing media doesn't get to really write their story that much.
Well, another interesting thing about our modern age is like when the whole thing in Ukraine started happening in February of last year, I was watching like newscasts from Germany and India and France and everything, like round the clock coverage of what was actually going on. Now, what they were saying was going on versus what our media was saying was going on were two completely different things. And like it was interesting because like back in the day, we didn't have access to. You couldn't just pull up a news stream of German news and hear and see what's going on. Like talking about Afghanistan and the fake fighting that was going on, that was actually the Kentucky gun range. Remember there was the whole bounty gate or whatever, where like supposedly Russia was paying the Afghans to take out bounties on American soldiers and stuff like that. And then you had like DOJ whistleblowers that were just posting shit on the internet and also like reports coming from Russia and from the Taliban that they're like, no, none of that's true. Nobody knows what they're talking about. Like, you know, it's an interesting world that we live in, but then you still have I would say a significant majority of the people who watch
the people
that still believe it, that still think that the news is absolutely infallible and they tell no lies.
What was it, the CIA back in the 50s when they did their coup on Iran? I mean, a huge part of that was fake. Like they took over a lot of the press, or they did like a lot of fake journalism and shit, you know, to turn the tide over there. So I mean, they've definitely been doing it in other places. You know, I find it hard to believe they wouldn't be doing this shit here, you know, since at least then too.
I do want to play this clip that you sent. This is from one of my favorite shows ever.
This is the moment I literally got up, turned the show off, and never watched another minute of it. Yes, please play it.
The difference between a commercial bank and an investment bank? Of course. Kenzie? No. Investment banks are gamblers. Commercial banks are where you have a savings account and a checking account. Can you balance your checkbook? Yes. Kenzie? No. All right. So after the Great Depression, Congress wanted to put a firewall between the investment banks and the commercial banks. They wanted to make sure that Wall Street could melt to the ground and the commercial banks wouldn't be touched. They passed a law, the Glass-Steagall Act. Now you could be Gordon Gekko or George Bailey, but you couldn't be both.
Mind if we just talk
Yeah, Glass-Steagall.
the firewall? It worked.
It helped lead to the largest sustained period of economic growth in U.S. history. A 60-year expansion of the middle class, the largest increase in productivity, and the largest increase in median income. We also won World War II, put a man on the moon and a computer in everyone's lap. And you know what happened next?
Man on the moon to the Glass-Steagall guys.
Guy with the guy who helped us.
Yes, we repeal Glass-Steagall. Why can't it be fixed? 1980, Ronald Reagan's elected president and the culture of deregulation begins.
What happened to Will? I haven't seen him around.
He changed and ran out right after the show.
Where?
That is literally
When you guys are talking about the propaganda around the 08 crash and everything, that just hit me. So I'm like, oh, yep. That's it.
Well, you know,
I did enjoy the show up until that. I didn't mean to trash your show or whatever, Justin. I did enjoy the show, but especially at this moment was when I watched this. You have to understand too. This was like 5-6 years ago when I was like doing nothing but reading Austrian economics books for fun. So like, I was just like, my autism couldn't handle it. I was just like, nope, can't do this. This is bullshit.
Oh, yeah, I love the show. There were definitely some things with the show that I seriously disagreed with and are objectively false, but yeah,
it seems to be bringing people with righty views around to the lefty quote truth, you know, is kind of what, because it was a lot of like they wouldn't, and I didn't finish the series, literally that second part of that clip where they went to the other room, I did not see that. Like I turned it off. But like, yeah, it seemed like Jeff Daniels' character, like he wouldn't say what side he was on, but you know, he's a little conservative. But stuff sort of kept being like, oh, this, you know, trying to be more MSNBC than.
Well, you know,
Fox News. I don't know if that's accurate. Go ahead.
we went over, we're talking about propaganda and we were talking about Ukraine. So, I mean, this is your best Ukrainian propaganda,
Donald Trump, your friend, to come out and publicly support more aid to Ukraine and to push some of these skeptical members of the Republican Party.
I'll leave it up to him to what to do, but he wanted to get out of Afghanistan.
Well, Vladimir Putin has been praising him for his comments about
Russia. Here's what I'll say about President Trump. He did not pull the plug on Afghanistan, even though he wanted to. The biggest mistake we made since the war on terror is withdrawing from Afghanistan. To President Trump and anybody else, if we pull the plug on Ukraine, that's 10 times worse than Afghanistan. There goes Taiwan. To stop funding Ukraine is a death sentence for Taiwan. Putin will keep going. You missed all of World War II if you don't know how this movie ends. To the Republicans,
the World War II, oh my, every time.
So say Ukraine doesn't matter to us, you're wrong. Respectfully, you're wrong. The war gets bigger, not smaller. There goes Taiwan. If Ukraine can beat Russia, China's less likely to invade.
That makes less than 0 cents. What? I mean,
I wanted you to stop it at the front part. She said your friend Donald Trump. The first thing Donald Trump needs to do is come out and
tell him
very boldly and publicly say, "I am not Lindsey Graham's friend. Fuck that dude."
Well, he has a couple times, but it seems like they become friends again after.
Did you see where he said "motherfucker" in his thing that he did the other day? Like, if he just would be a.
If you do that at every actually, like, I mean, I know probably dodging the debates is best for him, like, politically, because if he goes up there, all of them are going to attack him. I think that's why he's doing it. It's probably the smartest move. Like, as much as I want to see him on the debate stage and destroying them, but
I think it might have more to do with the fact that he's 50 points ahead, and there's no reason for him whatsoever to participate in this tomfoolery.
Here you go.
But if you become president and you don't like somebody, or if somebody's beating you by 10, 15, or 20 points like we're doing with Crooked Joe Biden, let's indict the motherfucker. Let's indict.
Oh, somebody put all that to, like, the whole thing to Seinfeld music. The Seinfeld theme. Oh, that was great.
See, that's one of those things that I worry about. If I were a politician, I would be the least politically correct politician ever. Like, I would just say "motherfucker" all the time. I can't help myself. Just, like, slides out. On this show and on my own show, like, I make a sincere effort to not say fuck all that much, and then I still end up saying fuck a whole lot. Like, my wife will from time to time check in on, like, a live one of the live peddling fictions or something, or if I do a live stream, like, in the middle of the afternoon when she's not busy, she'll, like, watch 10 or 15 minutes. Her first reaction is always, "You sure do say fuck a lot." Like, it doesn't even register that it comes out of my mouth. It's just. Yeah, like SDG says, I'd prefer politicians that speak plainly.
Yeah, I mean that's why people like Trump. Like, and that's what a lot of everybody else doesn't get. Like, they think that his crassness is like a bad thing as a politician. Like, they have this sort of, they actually have the wrong view of politicians. They view them as, like, they should be these, like, really polished, pristine, like, individuals, when really they're, like, those people are the most dirty and, like, corrupt kind of people, like, usually. I mean, not saying Trump hasn't done anything, but, like, there's those.
Although, do we really? I mean, we can blame Trump and his crassness and taking some of the polish off of politicians for being the slippery slope that leads to John Fetterman wearing hoodies and shorts in Congress. So.
But see, Fetterman actually, God, I don't know. Did we do that clip of Fetterman actually being incredibly based?
Oh no, that was pretty good. What did he say?
Does he still have facial hair? I do want politicians to start having beards again. I'm sick of this clean-shaven politician.
Fetterman
I'm
has
not
a
a
beard.
fan of Ted Cruz, but I like Ted Cruz with a beard.
Mm-hmm, yeah, much better. Hillary, way more electable with a beard. But in seriousness, yes, I want. Yeah, no, in seriousness, I want them to have beards again. Like, yeah, I think
that's what Bill is. That's her.
Because you're right. Well, to your point though, it is like it's become like this clean cut thing. It's so ridiculous. It's like that's what we need, and it's like says who,
Yeah, I mean, why would you want the people who are going to be over you not to just be honest and like, I mean, as yes, does Trump lie? I'm sure he lies a lot probably, but like there is a level of honesty though that comes with how he's just kind of being open and when he's making those kind of jokes, like there is like a level of honesty, or at least builds trust in like what you feel like. If they talk like if they sound like an average person, maybe they're more believable than someone who is sitting there trying to be mealy mouth and try to twist words and everything. But here's Fetterman probably being too honest for.
And let me say, I hope many of our colleagues agree the Chinese government and other U.S. adversaries should own zero agricultural land in our country. I believe that. I mean, they're taking back our pandas. We should take back all of their farmland.
I love the comment about the pandas, though. I would have never thought about that, but yeah, I mean that is true. They are reclaiming some of the pandas from like our zoos and stuff.
What was the context for him saying that? Like, what was the what were they talking about in that session? Like, or what was the committee meeting on?
It was something to do with they were talking about like land sale something, and he brought up that the Chinese government was buying agricultural land and farmland and everything. And he was saying like, hey, they shouldn't be owning it. I don't know specifically like what bill or this they may have.
Remember that time Karine Jean-Pierre got up there and started like racking off a bunch of conservative talking points? Were we right that it is actually the same speechwriters who are writing everything for everybody, and sometimes they get shit wrong and they give somebody on the wrong side of the aisle the wrong talking points, like and they're too dumb to know it. They are the entire all of Washington D.C. is just a bunch of Ron Burgundies. You put it on the screen in front of them and they're just going to say it. Like, is that what's actually going on here?
I feel like that's possible. Like, I mean,
it has to be. I don't know many of those people personally, but I just obviously, but I feel like they're not very impressive people. They just have a particular set of skills, and sometimes that skill or that marketable ability is flexible morals or just addiction to power. I don't know, man. I mean, they can't believe what they're saying. Half the time. I don't know. There's somewhere between the liar and stupid.
They just they have a they have the max persuasion stat, I guess.
Of the ones that I've met, the ones who come across as being like genuinely good are actually like smart, and then the ones who you think of in that way, like this is probably not an intelligent person. They just had the money and the connections to get themselves in this position. They genuinely don't come across as all that smart. I mean, I'm just a dumb hillbilly, I know, but yeah.
They tend to make it farther though, probably, unfortunately. Like because I'm sure, like, I mean, I don't know if we're talking about media people or politicians or both, because I kind of lump them into the same category, but like. But like you get the really good one, like that you're saying, like might actually be good or might actually care, like, oh yeah, like a state level or something maybe, But like again, like the person who the secretary of the press or whatever, like you're never. I don't know. Are any of them actual people, or is their only skill lying? I mean, it's kind of their job.
Well, I mean, like I feel like our senator Tommy Tuberville, like even though he plays a lot of the game, he still is generally, I feel like a regular person, because he looked at the whole funding for the stuff in Ukraine, and he was like, I'm not going to sign up for anything that's going to have funding for Ukraine. And he actually did something that was even more based, because he stopped them from appointing, what was it? Because he was really hung up on the fact that they were trying to make Space Force, like, if we're going to have a Space Force, and Huntsville, Alabama is the kind of one of the space capitals, I guess. We have, it's Rocket City for a reason. And he was proposing that they put
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
we don't have Space Force. You need to put it in Alabama.
Put it in Rocket City, baby. Yeah. That's
good. I'm sick of everything being so close to me. I'm like, man, when they start sending nukes, like I'm like right by Kennedy, and then Tampa is like Air Force Base is like center of operations for Iraq and shit. Jesus, like,
I mean, you
get them
would think
somewhere
that
else.
you would think that like launching off from more inland would be a smarter idea, but I don't know. I guess it's something with the way that they have to fuel it and everything.
Well, and retrieval too, because if things go in the ocean, I think that's a big part of it. That's a little more open there. And then
They don't want it to fall on somebody's house.
SpaceX now, right? And well, they're landing the fucking rockets like on barges and shit in the ocean. And then when they drop people, like when they go to go to the moon, quote unquote, they land in the ocean, probably just for logistics of it's better to land in the ocean than on the dirt. In some sort of capsule.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because I was like,
they have an ocean.
but it depends too, because it's like, well, like when the rocket would launch from here, then like after 6 seconds, or like as soon as it cleared the launch pad, then Houston would be who would take over. Like they took over operations at that point, but that's like the logistical, not the physical. So I don't know. Who knows? Sorry, I got hung up on the wrong thing.
It just makes me happy.
Like
I live
Bernie
in
Sanders, the
flyover
F-35.
country.
Yeah. Since we're talking about Zelensky, somebody play the clip I put in the Twitter chat there. I've been wanting to play this.
I got it.
Obviously, your senator hasn't seen this.
For weeks, Vladimir Zelensky
documentary
as Ukraine resists Russia's invasion.
I'm surprised this is done by BBC, honestly.
Victims berating Ukraine's enemies and demanding more from her allies.
Ми чекаємо рішення, очищення неба, або силою, яка у вас є, або ви дасте нам бойові літаки і засоби протиповітряної оборони, які дадуть нам потрібну силу.
But it wasn't always like this. Before the Russian...
Zelensky, the making of a president?
Yeah, it's very it's like I think it's trying to make him look really badass,
I mean, all you got to do is put him next to Boris Johnson like forever, and everybody looks badass just by comparison. Like 100% of your clips are you standing next to Boris Johnson, and you will always look badass.
Oh man, I wonder if he's gonna get kicked out. He kind of did, and then he kind of came back. So
Boris,
yeah,
what is he?
I haven't heard anything about him in a while.
Isn't he back? I'm pretty sure
he's doing something with either with NATO or the UN or maybe with the World Economic Forum. He's not officially part of like Parliament or whatever, but he is.
Sunak is their new one.
Yeah,
he came back temporarily after he was a fill-in after his replacement. Yeah, he got replaced. Yeah, I remember this now. And then after his replacement sucked so bad that the banks were like basically about to collapse.
Yeah, they bounced her like a week and a half later. Like she didn't even make it a full month.
And then he filled in, and then they got Sunak.
Another reason why we should repeal the 19th and don't need to be putting women in leadership positions. Look what happened with that. Golly, that was a failed experiment. Yeah,
when will we
the
learn?
way that they do their thing, it's kind of like the way that
Canada.
It's kind of like the way they select the Speaker of the House and stuff. Like he resigned from being the prime minister or whatever, but that just meant that his party won. So the party just got to pick a new one to replace him, and he didn't get like booted from the party. He just gets to go back to being a
run-of-the-mill politician.
Yeah, a regular politician instead of a legitimately important one. Whatever. Restore the monarchy. Fuck all this democracy bullshit.
I mean, maybe not with King Charles. I don't know. I don't know if I. You think King Charles would actually be?
What? We were talking about the scripts and stuff, and like all of these politicians being scripted. Zelensky is probably one of the most scripted on the fucking planet. This is what happens whenever you let a politician go off script. You just get all this bumbling nonsense.
I was able to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act. Strom Thurmond. When I left the Senate, I was able to convince Strom Thurmond to vote for the Voting Rights Act.
As it says, Strom Thurmond died in 2003. Biden left the Senate in 2009. And the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. And not only that, but Strom Thurmond voted against it. So, like, 100% false. Everything that just came out of Joe Biden's mouth.
Oh, come on! He was number one, top of his class in law school, dude. How could somebody like that get something like that so wrong?
He was a professor too.
Didn't they find out that he
wrote the book?
Wasn't he actually like bottom third?
Yeah, I think he was like last, like dead last or some shit, like something comically like last or second to last. Or something awful like that. Maybe it's bottom third. That would be giving him a lot of credit. I believe it's worse than that. Yeah, I could be wrong.
Unimpressive people. There we go.
Yep. You just park your ass in fucking Congress for 48 years, whatever the fuck it was,
and you get
hang
power.
out. Or was he in the Senate? I don't even know. Sorry, guys. It's Monday.
Yes, I think he was the
Senate. Senate. Yeah.
Thanks for not making fun of me for being stupid in front of everybody.
We try.
The Senate, dumbass. God.
Yeah, because remember the reason I remember him being in the Senate is because he was the one helping preside over the Clarence Thomas like a judicial appointment. That's where I remember that from, because he was grilling Clarence Thomas the entire time, and basically calling him some kind of no we need to, you and I know, like he did this whole thing. He had this whole bit of like where he was trying to like hi-hat essentially, like talking about like, now and I know what we're talking about here, but a lot of these people don't know, because he knew it was for the public, like public reviewing this. He was trying to put on some kind of show, but like Clarence Thomas, there's like an interview of him, like somebody asked him what he was thinking like while that was going on. He's like, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. He's talking about I know what the
God.
I can't believe that the guy who was the butt of every joke for
years,
8 years as vice president, and for a lot of years before that in the Senate, is now
the Biden memes worked. Okay, like the Joe Biden and Obama memes worked. Like they worked.
That was a good period, man. I enjoyed those. I really did.
Like Joe, you can't like you can't. I forget. Like there's just like memes of like Obama saying like, Joe Biden, you can't do that. Like,
how'd you spend $31,000 on Candy Crush? I thought I was ordering real candy. That doesn't make it any better, Joe. My absolute favorite was Obama, and he's standing next to some guy in an Easter Bunny costume on Easter, and he goes, "It's this moment that Barack regretted letting Joe pick his own outfit." That was probably about my favorite one. It didn't even have Biden in it, technically, unless that was Biden in the costume. That was possible.
Well,
that one might not have been Joe.
Biden does feel like he's in a costume, so
it's technically probably is. my god!
I guess the question of the
The
day
man in
is:
a Biden
is
suit.
Joe Biden dumb enough to pull a fire alarm, thinking that it's going to open a door?
Oh yeah. Do you have that clip, or did we already talk about that last week?
No, that happened on Friday, I think, like at the end of the Friday.
I say I don't know that I've seen I've seen all the stills of it.
Yeah, here's
Maybe that's all I saw.
What's
Here's
really
the still of
crazy, the craziest part of this is that literally after it happened, the original New York Post article that ran like an hour after it happened had one of Bowman's staffers admitting that he pulled it to delay the vote. And then, like a few hours later, he comes out with this statement saying that he didn't mean to. And like, I've lost faith in the New York Post. Granted, it's a fucking tabloid. It's not supposed to be real news, but like,
Here's his statement. I want to personally clear up confusion surrounding today's events. Today, as I was rushing to make a vote, which they don't want to vote on it. They don't want to vote on these bills. I came to a door that is usually open for votes, but today would not open. I'm embarrassed to admit that I activated the fire alarm. Like that is no in no way an accident. Accidentally, whatever, mistakenly thinking that it would open the door. I regret this and sincerely apologize for any confusion this is. This is a felony, is it not? I mean, a lot of people were pointing that out. I don't know if the
misdemeanor at the very least. It's a chargeable offense either way. But like, yeah, like the original New York Post article literally had a staffer admitting that he pulled the fire alarm to delay the vote, and then within a few hours, that article's gone. It doesn't exist anymore, and he's got this statement saying it was an accident. Like, it's such fucking.
Why would the staffer like him pulling the fire alarm to delay the vote or accidentally doing it? Either of those are less mind-blowing to me than the staffer admitting or saying that. You know what I mean? Like, if that was the case, like what the, like, that's crazy. Unless it was like an accidental
because
slip
they
or
were trying to
bullshit.
keep the Republicans. They were trying to keep the Republicans from being able to push through a bill that didn't have Ukraine.
I get that, but why would the staffer admit to that? Is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me that he would, because you'd think that if he knew that, then you also know to shut the fuck up about it. Unless the staffer was really upset by the incident because he lost a family member in a false fire alarm stampede one time, then that would be understandable.
I mean, or just you like if you're in that position, you have leverage. Like if you know something that's like that, you have a little bit of a leverage. So I mean, you could get disappeared, but also you could. Like,
I think it was like a humble brag kind of a thing, like a little bit of a flex. Like, yeah, he pulled the alarm. He pulled the fire alarm to fuck up their vote. Like,
he's a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the way it came across to me. Like, yeah, he pulled the alarm to stop the vote. That was a good thing. He needed to do that.
Okay. I can buy that then.
Until everybody started mentioning, hey, this is probably a felony, especially in Washington, D.C. And then all of a sudden it's like backpedal. No. It was a total accident. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't.
All right. Okay. I could buy that. They probably don't realize what crimes actually are. You go through your whole life being a privileged politician. You probably wait, that's illegal?
Well, you know who like doesn't know something is a crime? Apparently this meatball chick. Okay, it says this is literally I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a looting incident and this chick literally live streamed it. I mean, she literally live streamed her doing it. She was like, yeah, we looting up in here, whatever. Like literally just straight up saying it. Like they grabbed a whole bunch of like iPhones and stuff like this, and of course the iPhones got like deactivated, because Apple has a thing that they can do, or they don't allow them to be like activated until they're authorized or whatever. But
yeah,
so
they the GPS you can't steal anymore. Like
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but so they stole a bunch of this stuff, you know, and everything, and she comes out and she's like live streaming. It's like, yeah, you know, we looted that mother, and then and all of a sudden she gets caught by the police. The police actually come knocking to her door, like, yeah, we kind of saw your video, and we got some questions for you, and then they booked her. And that's why, like, she's got she's selling her mugshot, like Donald Trump was selling his mugshot. It's like free meatball. Or apparently her name is Meatball, or nicknamed Meatball somehow.
Is that her Christian name?
But dude, it's the Philadelphia riots. Yeah, that's right. Those God, where do we posted something about the Philadelphia riots.
Yeah, what was it? What was that about? I saw some videos that there was a riot, but I didn't even know why they were rioting. I mean, if there was a reason. It was Thursday.
I feel like it's Philadelphia. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I feel like that's every Friday there's probably a looting session in Philadelphia. That's what I feel like anyway.
Oh shit. Well, that sucks.
Well, is this is the meatball thing just another example of women being dumb, kind of like these?
Do we need men?
No.
Do we need men?
Honestly, no.
Do we need men?
No.
Why?
Because they suck.
Oh, hold up. They're changing the pilots thing. They're gonna have more women pilots. Don't you worry.
It's okay. I don't fly.
No, Trey, you're wrong. You're well-meaning, but you're wrong. The pilots thing, women are getting women. They're bypassing women for the increasing the number of minority pilots. They're bypassing the minority that is females because they're not actually a minority anymore, and they're going to people of they're going for the ethnicities instead of for the gender.
I just hope they go Asian.
Doesn't seem to be the route they're going. As long as they're not going Middle Eastern, I'm fine with it, honestly.
I saw some very adorable Asian pilots at the Wawa the other day. They were ordering on the same kiosk together. It was cute. But they seemed like they knew what they were doing. They were clean cut. I'd trust them. I feel like they're better in the air than in cars.
Yeah.
Less traffic. Like, you know,
yeah.
Got a little more room to move around. A little more room for error.
Who do we want in the air traffic control room?
Obviously, the most autistic dude possible.
Yeah.
The most autistic.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Autist. Exactly.
That is the flight control would be an autist dream, like an autist wet dream. Honestly.
With Adderall in their sippy cup. Hell yeah.
Yes. put some Adderall in the sippy cup and then
make sure they're on point, dude.
You know what's really funny about that little clip was all of the things listed in the last half of the clip are also the reason that there's a gender pay gap or a gender wage gap. It's because men
those jobs pay more.
Those are the highest paying jobs on the planet. Like, obviously, like when men make up 90+% of all of the highest paying jobs, men are on average going to make more money. It's crazy, right? It's almost like, math. I know math is hard. Even Common Core, man. Well, that's the problem is they've started all this Common Core. Now math is even harder. It's as if it wasn't difficult enough. And,
that's why I've been teaching my son, just the regular, hey, you got 2 things, you got 3 things, put them together, count them.
When Sean was coming up through elementary school and he had his math assignments and stuff, he would be sitting at the kitchen table working on it. And he's like, he was like, I'm having trouble with this. So I would look at it and I would show him how to do it. And he was like, but they say that we have to do it like this. I was like, solve the problem the way I showed you and then reverse engineer that shit and figure out what it is that they're wanting, what kind of work they're wanting you to show for how they get the answer. I was like, solve the problem and then figure out how to make their bullshit like work on paper to show how to show what they want to see for the answer, but get the answer right. I said, and at the end of the day, get the answer right. And if they start docking you points because you got the right answer, but you didn't do their bullshit, it's like, I will fight everybody at the school. Like, I will take those emails. I will take those phone calls. I will go up there and raise all 9 levels of hell. Like, I don't fucking care. I don't like any of those people anyway. Like, let's do this. And we never did have any problems. Nobody said anything. So
that's what pissed me off when I'd actually do my math homework. They'd be like, well, you didn't show your work and you didn't show the steps we wanted you to show. And I'm like, the fucking answer right? Come on, dude. I hated that shit. Fucking, I hate it.
The only good place I found where showing my work actually was beneficial was in freaking calculus. Like, and that's only because calculus is a hard math. And
that was like,
you're gonna be able to check yourself.
The math book, like the math book that we had the answers in the back of the book. So like you could, like, they wanted you to show your work, so they knew that you weren't going to the back of the book to just get the answer. But like, I had a really good math teacher, and he knew that if I actually showed my work, it was because I had to go to the back of the book to get the answer. And then once I know the answer, then I'm working the problem backwards to figure out, okay, why is that the answer? Like, if I just wrote the answer down, that meant either I did it in my head or I had a little scratch piece of paper somewhere that I did it on. Like, if I actually wrote it all out, that meant I didn't know the answer and I had to go find it, and then I would solve it myself. But I mean, I guess I get, like, some people are just going to go to the back of the book for every answer that they can get, but like,
yeah, our book was like that too. But like my calculus professors were pretty good, but my linear algebra professor was horrible. Oh my, just terrible. Like, I had no clue what was going on in linear algebra. Like, I squeaked by in that class. It was terrible.
I took a stats class in college, and I'd had trig and calculus and all kinds of advanced math, and stats was very, very basic stuff. It was like algebra 2 type stuff, and most of the class was like struggling with it. It was an ag stats class, so it was like agricultural applications for statistics, and a lot of the class was struggling with it. And I just started like teaching everybody how to do it. And it's like, it wasn't hard. And then we got about 2/3 of the way through the semester, and I'd set the curve on every test and quiz we had, and was literally teaching half the class how to do the work. And I knew how many tests and quizzes we had left and everything, and I decided I just didn't want to fucking do anything for the rest of the semester. So I figured out exactly what I needed to do to make a B, and then I made a B. I actually had an amazing professor for that, and he was my advisor. And that summer, I had a summer class with him. And one morning, it was an off-campus class. We had to like meet on campus and drive to this location. One morning, we got in the car, and he looked in the back seat to make sure that the girls who rode with us were asleep, because we left at like 6 o'clock in the morning. The girls that rode with us would always just get in the back seat and go to sleep, and then me and Dr. Bowman would talk. And so he looked to make sure they were asleep, and he goes, "All right, what the fuck happened in stats?" I was like, "Whoa, I made a B. What do you mean what happened?" He said, "Yeah, you made a B, and you set the curve on every test. You taught half the class how to do the work. I know you did." He's like, "So what the fuck happened in stats?" I was like, "I don't know. I just decided I didn't want to do any more than was necessary to make a B." And he said, "You're better than that. And if you ever do that in one of my classes again, I will fail you." So, I was like, "All right." Like, that hit me. Like, I'd never had a college professor. You have high school teachers that, especially for me being from a very small town, very, very small school, like, you go to church with most of your teachers. Like, they've known you since you were a kid. They took an interest, but I'd never had a professor that would like call me out like that for not putting forth the effort. And when he did that, that like really hit me. Like, it kind of changed my approach to some of my classes, not all of them. And I did have a job. I'd managed to graduate with a 2.2, and I did have a job interview where the interviewer said, "Why is your GPA so low?" I said, any class that pertains to what I want to do for a career, I do really good and make an A or a B. And anything that is a required class by the school that does not apply to what I want to do for a career, I shoot for a D. And he said, that's fair. And then he offered me a job. So
Yeah.
it's like, if you keep me engaged and I think that it matters, then I will work hard. If I don't think it matters, I will do the bare minimum to succeed. To get-
Yeah, I mean, you know, what do we know? You know, we only want to do what we want to do anyway, because we're all kind of retarded.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.